Good morning. Steve here. And um, this morning, well, last evening in the dream world and this morning have been quite active. And I made a video yesterday about kind of the steering of people into having the same consciousness. And when I say the steering of people, I mean, um, I would say that there are possibly those that regulate society to attempt to have society behave in a way that the regulators want society to behave. And so one can see some interesting things in relationship to this in terms of language that comes in, that becomes popular and becomes running through the consciousness of people. Words that, some of you might not have even recognized as being kind of newly made up words, but words like woke. And you can, and sorry about the nose itching. I think it might be the magic. I think it was I Dream of Jeannie who used to wiggle her nose, but I can't wiggle my nose, so I have to do this to get the magic to happen. But it just does seem to be, I don't really want to be pointing out this nose particularly, but there I did. So there's these words that just show up that are an attempt to shift consciousness, and or that's one possibility. And so words like woke, and another word I talked about in the video yesterday, value signaling, and terms like, and these are maybe older terms, and maybe it shows that my average viewer is a 30-year-old male, which is just interesting. But the thing is, that's a good thing to say, because people go, oh, the thing is, that's important. It might be, it might not be, but I like using the term the thing is. So that this thing of value signaling, which means you should just accept the consciousness that's being given to you by your handlers, and you should go with it. So everyone out there now should be vegan and should be driving an electric car and should be accepting everything that comes to them with the fear of being seen to be objecting. Like, yeah. And there's just so much of it, and I'm not going to go into too much of it today. Maybe we'll leave that for another where I'll just rant on. But right now I'm just saying that there may be some control mechanisms that are attempting to get us to think and act in a particular way. And if you want to, you can be like me and just go, no, I'm not going to do it. All right. And I mean, unless basically it comes down to being tortured, and I have other life memories of giving in to torture. So I don't, and I'm working on just resolving any memories of torture, because it's something that I don't think highly of. If you have to go to the point where you have to torture someone, then what you're doing is wrong to start with. Unless you feel like my videos are torture, because I would say that there is someone who I'm very close to who might say it would be torture to have to watch my videos. But for those who don't find it torturous, I was very kind of excited this morning when I woke up for a variety of reasons. One, I woke up, and so that's something to be excited about. You wake up, you're like, oh, I'm breathing. It's going to be a good day. If you kind of come out of the dream world and you're not breathing and you go, oh, dang, I may have lost this body. I really liked this body. I really liked being in it. And now it's lying there not breathing. So, breath is life. So, I would suggest that we all take a deep breath. And so, you could do yoga breathing, which is you breathe through your chest first. And when you can't get any more in your chest, it goes into your abdomen. And then when you breathe out from your abdomen like you're squeezing a toothpaste container from the bottom. So the lower part of your abdomen squeezes your breath out, and then it keeps squeezing it, it keeps squeezing it. And it's through this type of yogic breathing that you can strengthen your core muscles of your spine. So if you to do this squeezing out breathing, you have to use the muscles of your abdomen and the muscles that surround your spine, and you have to actually squeeze your breath out, and that just gets the breath out really fully, and then you bring it back in again. And I did a fair amount of so value signaling. We're just going to jump back to value signaling. If you so there was an old saying that well, I'm old, so I'm going to say there was an old saying, and I'm not really that old, but comparatively speaking to the average. Oh, and I mentioned the other day, we're just going to go round and round these things. I mentioned the other day that I had been studying neurolinguistic programming, and I think it was coming up on 40 years. So I think it was 38 years I've been studying neurolinguistic programming. And I said, which is probably longer than half the population has been alive. And it seemed true, half the population has been alive less than 38 years. But I had to go look it up because I want to be impeccable with my words. What are the 4 agreements? If you don't know the other 4, look them up. Do some searching. Do some work. Find out these things. So I looked it up. And so, if my memory serves me, which I don't trust that it always does, but the median age on the planet is 31.2 years. So half the people on the planet are less than 32 years old. 31.2 I think it was, and half the planet is over 31.2. And so I was accurate when I said that half the planet hasn't been as long as I've been studying neurolinguistic programming. So I ask you the question, if you're not full of yourself, so that was the old saying, he or she is so full of themselves. And if you are not full of yourself, who are you full of? I'll give you days to think about your answer. If you're not full of yourself, who are you full of? And, you've had enough time. If you don't want to hear the answer, you want to think about it more, like click the pause button and think about who are you full of. And so click the pause button now, because I'm going to tell you your choices. Okay, now you've had some time to think about this, and now you've clicked start again, and so I'm starting again. So, if you're not full of yourself, you're possibly woke. You're full of somebody else. You're full of somebody else's ideas. Now, we all have other people's ideas. If we were unlucky, we were raised in families. We had a parent, maybe two. And some of us were so lucky that we had what I might term to be older siblings who, to some people, appeared pretty cruel. and and they would suggest to me that they were actually, hitting me to help me to be tougher because you needed to be tough in this world, and so we're going to hit you and that'll make you tougher. And so we all had these families, and there's some good things about them, some not so good things about them. And some people may have had just lovely families that just really did whatever and didn't make them feel bad about being full of themselves. So if you're full of yourself, so let's just take this moment and all state out loud, I connect to my deep self. And later on, feel free to just, in the comments section, just briefly if you want, just mention what happened when you stated out loud, I connect to my deep self. What happened? What did you notice? So while you're feeling your deep self, and we've got a lot we're going to do today, so you may, spend a week going over this one video because so much happened today. So with a little value signaling, I'll state that I started off my day. So I'm doing values signaling. Look at me. I'm so great. I hope you feel really bad about yourself because of how great I am. And that's not really true. That was an indication of what they're trying to make you feel in terms of signaling that you're of value. And I'll just say this, that I signal that you're of value. You're of value in the world. You're here. You have value. And when you're full of yourself, especially your deep self, when you're in that place of peace and calm, you'll come into a place of love, and you'll come into a place of self-love. So I drank 2 glasses of alkaline water this morning, felt my brain get more alert. I took a cleansing bath with Epsom salts because I've been in this process of detox. And so the water helps with the detox. The cleansing bath helps with the detox. Potatoes, root vegetables also help with detoxing the system. And then I did yoga breathing and some yogic exercises to strengthen my low back, the core of my low back, because a week or more ago, I went to Home Depot, and I think I've told you that I injured my back in around 2003, 2004, right around there. I herniated a disc lifting something poorly. And so I had problems with it. And then the yoga helped me get that core strength. And so I'm back to doing yoga again just to get my spine strong because I tended to cause it to be inflamed by going to, this is not an advertisement, by going to Home Depot and buying a metal shelf and lifting that box of that 6 by 4 by 16-inch metal shelves with 5 shelves in a box, lifting it, not calling someone to help. First of all, there's nobody anymore that are in these places you can even find to help you. That's an old way of life being is people were there to help you. And now I'm still continuing that. I'm here to help you if I can, if I can't, you know. But anyway, I thought I looked around, I'm not gonna find anybody to help me lift this box. I'm just gonna do it very carefully. Whoops. I don't care how carefully you lift certain boxes when you already have somewhat of a mildly unstable lower back. Then you want to be extra careful. You want to be extra careful anyway because you don't want to end up with a mildly unstable lower back. So I've done lots of good things. So I'm doing my yoga and I'm getting stronger in that core musculature. You know, you can do that with Pilates or gyrotonics or yoga or whatever. You can get that core muscle strength without injuring yourself. So just the breathing, just the yogic breathing will strengthen your core muscles. So I highly recommend it. So talk about value signaling. There are things that almost all of us know are good for us and don't do. So one of them being water, drinking water. It's just, if you can get good water, it's just good for us to drink water. We're made of water. We're, whatever it is, I can't remember, but 90% or something water. I mean, you can search it and tell me exactly what it is, but we're like something like 90% water. And our body uses water to cleanse things out of our system. So you can get overloaded with water, but you can, most of us are dehydrated. Most of us don't drink enough water. Most of us. I should have I learned to put that arrow. Most of us don't drink enough water. But today I have started off value signaling, drinking water, taking a cleansing bath, and doing yoga. And I had made a decision because every day I do a card reading for my immediate family. So there's 4 of us, you know, mother, father, daughter, son. So we just do this card reading and it gives us an idea of what the 4 of us are working with, but we're a microcosm. The world's working with stuff. So when I was thinking of, yeah, every day I'm going to do a tarot reading for the world, I had the thought, well, that's what you're doing. This is your world in miniature, but it's actually a reading for the larger world. So if you find this very useful, just know that this is something I'm going to, you know, do my best to do as often as I can. And I just found it interesting because I was, some people would say raised Catholic, some people would say lowered Catholic. I would probably be, what is the term? Former, well, I'd probably be the second one. And, yeah, religious holidays. They're interesting, but they all represent kind of more traditional holidays that were celebrated by indigenous people, which our ancestors were indigenous people up until maybe 2,000 years ago, and for other religions, you know, further back than that. But basically, when the conversion was going on between kind of indigenous spirituality, you know, worshiping, you know, the gods that help the land bear fruit, and the water, you know, the water gods and the earth gods and the sun gods and all of that stuff, which is a little bit what shows up in tarot and also in the Mayan calendar. So today I'm going to put this up here so you can read it yourself. I'm just going to read a little tiny bit of it, but let's see. It's the white wind. And if you can if it seems like it's focused enough. If you can read that, great. And if not, I'm just going to give you a little bit. So today there are 40, at some point I'm just going to stop saying this, but there are 40 kin. Like in astrology, there's 12 sun signs. Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn, so I'm value signaling Capricorn. We're the best. According to us Capricorns. We all think this about other Capricorns. Yeah, you're the best. Yeah, no, you're the best. We're all the best. We're Capricorns. But the other signs all have qualities. Sometimes qualities we don't have. So it's good to, maybe be in relationship with somebody else who has some qualities that kind of balance yours out. So anyway, there's 20 kin, and you're a 1 in 20 kin. Go to 13moon.com, say Dakota date, put your birth date in, month, day, year, click Dakota date, find out who your kin are. But also, every 20 days, you have a day. And so if your kin are the white wind, today is your day. Now, yesterday was Red Dragon Day. That was my day. And the day before was a Yellow Sun Day, and that's my wife's day. So today is white wind, and white wind communicates spirit and breath. And this stuff's going to make more sense later on when you see all the things that came up and how they all connected today. It was one of those days where it's just like, this is all connected. And it is all connected from my perspective. Okay. What do I want to say about this? I'm just going to, you can read it yourself, but breath is the fuel of life, and it really is. You can study that. Study all these things. Find out. Don't trust talking heads. Take the words that they say, like safe and effective, and then do some research and find out if it seems safe and effective. And I would just say breath, for the most part, is safe and effective, unless there's toxins in the environment and then it might not be so safe, and it might be effective in a way you don't like. Anyway, breath is the fuel of life. And so I'm just going to jump right in. As Native American teachings share, through our breath, we are in relationship with all life, never separate from the great mystery. So I like that. And so this is a day of communicating spirit and breath. And in relationship to communicating, I'm going to show you, and the fact that, this day in some religions is celebrating, I think, the rebirth of one of the spiritual teachers that passed away unexpectedly and then rose from the dead. Now, there are other traditions where this happened to other people, in their tradition, they died and they rose from the dead and stuff. So it's not just limited to one group who has this regeneration. But I've never seen it personally, dying and raising from the dead. So it's not my experience. But I think we can all kind of raise ourselves from the dead. Sometimes we feel like we're kind of dead. So I'm going to put this up for a minute too and see if you can read it. But this is what's referred to as the Celtic cross. And I've added some things to it. And I'm going to read to you those things that I've added. So if you freeze it, if you want to, you can read it. What I found out I was doing was every day when I was doing tarot readings, I was reading the first card at the top was my wife. And the second card at the bottom was mine. And the next card to my left side was my stepdaughter. And the next card to my right side was my stepdaughter's teaching partner. And then in the center was what it would be good for all of us to be thinking about today and know that we're working with. And so I had the thought, rather than do 2 readings a day, because we're a microcosm, I might have said this before, I'm saying it again, we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So if there's information that the universe wants us to have today and brings in through me, then I don't have to do it twice. And if I have a sense I need to do it twice, I would, one for the family, one for the world family, but we're all family. So here's what showed up today. And just to understand that I like to do things differently. So if somebody tells me in their religion that the creator was male and the symbol of creation or the symbol of divinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or Holy Ghost it was earlier, and then they thought, oh, we don't want it like Casper, so they made it Holy Spirit. But anyway, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Like, where's the feminine in all this, was my question. And then I looked around the world, and I noticed nothing that was being created in terms of life by men. I mean, yeah, they're building some houses and stuff. But in terms of creation, I noticed that it only came through women. Flowers, the ewes and the rams. I didn't see the rams doing much of anything other than messing around. And then out of the divine feminine comes life. That's the way I look at it. So when I made my own Celtic cross, because, I've got 92% Irish ancestry according to 22 plus or 24 plus, or those things that found out what your genetic sequencings were. At that point where everybody wanted to know, I thought, I'd like to know. It'd be interesting. Anyway, I've switched it up. So to me, we've got the divine feminine on top, the divine masculine on the bottom, and feminine and masculine on the sides as well. So we have balance. We have 2 feminines, 2 masculines. So if you're feeling more feminine, if you identify in some other way, and we are masculine and feminine, some of us feel like we just have that balance in us, and other ones feel like they don't like one or the other, and that's fine. Whatever you need to do, however woke you need to be, and however much value signaling you need to make, you just do it. And just enjoy yourself and be good-hearted. So, for the feminine, we got the Strength card, which is the 11 of Trumps. This is going to be a really long one today. We're going to see how many of you make it through this. Okay. So we're going to go to the 11 of Trumps. And I meant to write this stuff down, but I was interrupted. Not rudely, but just interrupted. And I forgot. And it doesn't take much. I'm having one of those days where I'm kind of like value signaling that I'm ADHD. And this is what ADHD looks like when it gets older. So it's either a good side or a bad side. But it's very creative. All right, so the 11th of Trumps, which is a major arcana, and it doesn't have to do with who's running for president. It's a very old term. The Trump cards are the major arcana, those that help you get along in life. So anyway, the 11th card um, has to do with the divine feminine, the principle of strength, passion, and luster. And she has an inherent faith within herself, which is symbolized by the fire urn that she looks to and holds. She has overcome old fears tied with the past, and she's holding, uh, a fire urn. So if any of you have memories of lifetime when you were in bodies at other times, and somebody suggested, hey, let's have a bonfire, and you saw all the women run, there might be a reason for this. Just the word Salem might bring back those memories. But anyway, she has overcome old fears tied with the past, which are the grayed and darkened figures and objects in the background of the symbol. And she rides Leo the lion, the astrological sign of creative power. And it is through utilizing our creative gifts and talents, like Leo the lion, that we can tame and rein the beasts within. So this goes back a little bit to the Beauty and the Beast story and taming the beast and finding out that the beast is just a lovely, another lovely person when they aren't lost in satisfying all their own lusty needs, Anyway, I won't go too far into any of that. So then, I shouldn't have put the book away because the next card, which was, pulled for the world of men. So some of there's kind of a card pulled for the mother, grandmother, wise woman card, women in general card. And then so maybe it's a little bit like the side cards, the side feminine and the side masculine, have to do with the younger masculine feminine and older masculine feminine. Some people think that wisdom comes with age, and then you look at somebody like me and you go, well, maybe not. But anyway, the card that I got, which I've become much better at not taking offense to the cards that I get. And so I got the Hanged Man. Maybe I'll show you a picture of this one. Oh. The Hanged Man, it's not such a... Well, it kind of looks like yoga a little bit. But the Hanged Man represents turning your life upside down to experience it differently. So the words in the book about the Hanged Man card, which is the number 12 of trumps, and maybe if I keep using the word trump, you'll either feel who knows what you'll feel. But I know sometimes you use the word Trump and people go, Trump! And you go, well, it's just part of the major arcana. He may be part of the major arcana. We just have no idea. We're making up our own reality. So what you make up about all that stuff about, kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers and the people supposedly representing you in government who are actually possibly representing you, but possibly really representing the people that are giving them tons of money. Now, if you look at who's giving you tons of money, that's who you work for. Because if you don't do what they say, you get fired. So if you think that these governments of the world are representing the people, yeah, that's like the king and queen are representing the people. Although the people are living in slovenly shacks and the king and queen have multiple palaces that they can spend different times of the year in. But they do represent the people. If the people were lucky enough to be the king and the queen, then they'd have multiple houses and servants and people and dressing them in the morning and bathing them. And yeah, it could work. Who knows? But then cooking for them, keeping their properties immaculate. I got nobody keeping my property immaculate. I can guarantee you that. Well, my wife and I, we share it. We're a balanced couple in many ways. Obviously, I'm part of the imbalanced part of the couple, but all right. The principle of surrender. So the hangman has to do a surrender, and I'm thinking that I might make this video twice and not have this one be the one I post. The principle of surrender, which is breaking old habits. So as I've suggested in other videos, there's 3 ways to change. You can change your beliefs, which is basically let go of them, let all the emotions off them, because beliefs are basically unresolved events from the past that have a lot of emotions attached to them. So if you release the emotions, you release the old charged story, and then you've just had an event. Okay, that's enough about the hanged man. Don't want to get into too much value, or I can't remember what the term is anymore. Value chasing or value. Well, I might have cleared it. Okay, so then we have, and I think I just wrote down simple things. Then we have for the younger feminine, we have the 3 of Wands, which has to do with virtue and integrity in creativity. And maybe I'll go ahead and see if I can just find the 3 of Wands. 3 of Discs. Yep. Wands. 3 of Wands. Integrity is the union of mind, heart, and action working in concert with each other. So when your mind and your heart and your action are all in concert with each other, that's virtue and integrity. And, yep. It's radiant dynamic energy, which is the sun, to move in new directions, which is Aries, the initiator, but from a place of integrity and virtue. So what we're creating anew, we're creating out of integrity, out of an alignment of our heart, mind and heart and action. Okay, so that's that aspect. And then the younger masculine is the 2 of Discs. And the 2 of Discs represents change. So in many ways, the masculine in both of these cards, so the 12th of Trump has to do with surrendering and breaking old patterns. And so the young masculine has to do with change, the 2 of Discs. And the image of it is I don't know how you say it, Ouroboros, but it's, I think, out of China, and it's a snake eating its own tail. But the 2 of Discs represents change, the Oriental Ouroboros snake that eats its own tail reminds us that change is the only constant and is cyclic. For purposes of rebalancing that which is out of balance, the serpent is making the number 8, which is the number for balance and adjustment. Change is for the purpose of expanding our awareness, which is symbolized by the crown on the snake's head. Change is also for the purpose of revealing to us that which is knowable and that which is unfamiliar and those are represented by the black and white serpent. So, a lot of change going on, a lot of awakening going on, and I would say in the young men that I know. I wonder how long this video has been going on. Okay, and finally, in the circle is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is the teacher and the student. So I'm going to just say a tiny bit about that. That I had one of the people that has liked and subscribed and has commented a few times on, oh, I like that. Oh, that really helped me. That type of thing. Wrote me a little comment that says, I'm really getting a lot out of your teaching. Kind of, and she wrote it differently, but kind of it was like, are you okay with me perceiving you as my teacher? And I think I wrote back like, thanks. And that's a compliment. And I hope you're okay with me seeing you as my teacher, because I see everybody as my teachers. And I was teaching this chiropractic class in the mid-'80s, before many of you were born. And I was teaching this class, and in my class was this guy who turned out was 94 years old. And after the class, I went over and sat down next to him. I taught the class. I went over and sat down next to him. And I said to him, it's an honor for me to have you in the class. But I said, you've got to be in your 70s. At the time, I thought that was ancient. And retired. And why do you keep coming back to learn more things? And he said, well, I'm 94 years old, and I'm glad you think I look 70. And he said, and I don't think working 28 hours a week is retired. And he said, and anyway, you can learn something from everybody. He said, you can learn the way to do something, and you can also learn the way not to do something. And he said, they're both good. And so we can learn the way to do something. We can learn the way to not do something. But unless we not try, because trying isn't doing, unless we actually take someone's advice and apply it and see what happens, then we understand it. If someone says to you, oh, if you go into the core of your being, into your deep self, if you state out loud, I connect to my deep self, you go into the core of your being, you'll feel peace and calm and other things, a lot of energy moving. But somebody tells you that and you go, okay, I get that. And then you never do it. And you go, okay, good, peace and calm, core of my being, peace and calm, That's great, great, great. Good to know, good to know, good to know. It's like, good to know that drinking water helps you not be so dehydrated. But it's better to drink water and actually know it by doing it. So that's what I'm going to say. You're going to know much more by doing the things and thinking about them. So if here I am, I'm a talking head and shoulders. And so I'm acting like I know something. And I really primarily speak out of my experience. I don't really talk about things I don't know about. I mean, sometimes it may seem like I do. Or maybe I sometimes talk about things I don't fully understand. But sometimes in talking about them, I'll come to that understanding. But many of the things I talk about, I've worked with. And you'll understand them when you work with them. When you state, I connect with my deep self. And you go in there. And if you feel the energy begin to move, then you're going, oh, that's what he talks about when he talks about the energy moving, when you feel it move, when you feel it go into your heart and spread through your blood system, through your acupuncture meridians. When you feel those things, you go, I totally get it. And when you get it on a level of experience, then make a comment about it. Like, I mean, I like the comments that was great. That helped so much. Thank you so much. Those are great. I like feedback of any kind. But when a person says, I did this thing that you suggested and this thing happened and it was very powerful for me, that helps everybody. That gives me like, oh, these people are actually doing these things. And it also influences others. It opens up the possibility of their experience for them. When you talk about what your experience was, it opens that up. And that's what we're talking about, opening up these energies. So we have a large space for ourselves and a large space for everyone else to be who they are and to do their best. And so, leaving you today with the four agreements, be impeccable with your word. And I feel okay about shortening that to speak your truth. Do your best. Don't assume and don't take it personally. And when I say that one of these days, I'm going to say don't take it personally from a place of really not taking it personally anymore, because I sometimes still take it personally. And I've been watching, as I've done these videos, over 60 videos, and I watch, and it's like 100% like, 100% like, 100% like. I'm like, wow, that's great. People like these. Don't we all kind of want to be liked? And then And then one of my videos, which was on a tarot reading, went, I think maybe what they call went viral or something. And I went from having like an average of 30 people, at least clicking on the video, maybe watching it, but an average of 30 people. And it went from then, and then a maximum, I had like 90 people had watched one of my videos. And then one day, one of my videos was 1.45K. Like 1,500 people clicked on the video. Whether they watched it, we don't know. But they clicked on the video. So went from an average of 30 to a video of 1,500. And it is not necessarily my goal that I have 1,500 people click on my video, that it says on my page that I have, 7 billion subscribers. What's important to me is that you get that what I talk about are the ways that have helped me to change. And I needed help. And I think it's been 12 to 14 years in night school in the dream world of having them to repeat themselves to me because they just didn't get it. But many of the things I'm getting, and those things I'm getting, I wish to share with you in the hopes that they will serve you well in being full of yourself, living your life the way it feels right for you to live it, and let other people, if they need you need to do that, you need to do this, 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 and you can go, thanks for sharing. Okay. So thanks for sharing, and now let's go.